Hello, friends, and welcome to the first guest episode of 2026 Season 2. Woo! We are
Incredible.
so excited to be sitting down with our guest today. I'm going to let JV introduce because that's what we do here.
Yep.
Um, we just want to say hi. Thanks for sticking with us. Thank you for being here. And JV, would you like to introduce our guest today?
I would like to introduce our guest today. We have the HM Duval on today, author extraordinaire. See, it's already starting. And I have your book here, which I bought in, and she has it on Kindle. So we have both versions. And I do this, okay? I will like introduce you and then not let you get a word in edgewise for like half an hour.
Brilliant.
So,
Brilliant.
hi.
I'll just sit here and bask in the glow. Go ahead. Go ahead, JB. Keep going.
Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here. It's always fun to hang out with fellow word nerds and just dig into book talk.
Yeah. I
Word nerds is
Word
the
nerds.
best description I've ever
We
heard.
need to hashtag that. Use it for 2026.
I feel like that would make a good tattoo.
Let's
Word
be,
nerd.
Want it
can
on
be
a
word nerds.
shirt.
We need a shirt. We need like,
Yeah.
I was a word
Yes.
nerd with JV and Tyler.
I love
Like,
that. Word
why
nerd.
isn't that the name of our podcast? Word nerds. Like,
Little
that's
Prince
so
is
good.
pretty good too,
Little
but
Prince is pretty
Word
good.
Nerds
Yep.
is good. So hi. So where are you located? Like just generally.
Sure. I am over on the East Coast in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. So we are on
Oh,
exact opposite sides of
opposite.
the continent
You
from
know,
each other.
yeah, because I was wondering because we met in Vegas
We did.
last
We
year
met
in August.
HM Duval in Vegas.
In
And do you want us
Vegas.
to call you HM or do you want to go by your first name? What's
HM is great.
okay?
Whatever works for you guys.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, ultimately up to you, right? Because if you're like an undercover FBI agent in real life, then we want to keep it undercover, right? We don't want to like.
I do try to keep my the names that I go by very clean cut in whichever sphere I'm in. It's
Yes.
Good.
not that I necessarily am a different persona in the different realms of my reality, but it does help me kind of um, pack things into my brain differently.
Yes.
I totally get that.
Yeah, and
100%.
it helps other people too, right? Distinguish
Right.
between HM the
Right.
author and then,
I would like
real
lots of
life.
people to know that HM Duval is an author and you should
Yes.
buy her books.
That's correct.
You heard
Absolutely.
it here
And
first.
they're great books and they're
Yes.
beautiful books. I mean, honestly, like,
The
so,
cover.
oh,
That's what drew you when we were in Vegas. We were at our table and we were stuck there for the majority of the event, right? We really didn't get a chance to walk around, which was great
Yes.
because it was small, it was
Yes.
it
intimate, but
was.
it was busy. And she was like, "Tyler, I need you to stay here. I need to go get that book from HM
I mean,
Duval."
all day. All
All
day. I
day
was
I'm
like,
she
so
was
glad
Tyler.
that you
trying.
did. I always feel like that too, because especially when you don't have an assistant, and that was one of the
Yes.
events that I was fortunate enough to have an assistant at. It was actually my sister who was assisting me for the first
Yes.
Nice.
time ever. It was her birthday weekend. So we were like,
Shout
let's
out
do
to sis.
Vegas and books. It'll be
That's
great.
I love that.
perfect.
I was so good. It was so good. But sometimes when you are at a signing event, you really do have to stay at your little island. And, I often feel like I'm there with my periscope and I'm like, oh, scoping out that author and
Yes.
scoping out that,
Yes.
and then I try to run around and collect some information from authors and fellow creators so that I can connect and we can stay in touch. And eventually I can loop back around and when I have, brain space after an event
Mm.
and learn more about them. But I've really appreciated you coming over and
Yeah.
just creating that bridge between us.
Yeah, me too. No, I was telling Tyler all day because we did an initial round, and I mean honestly, I mean for me the cover is what draws my eye initially,
Yes.
right? And then I'll pick up the book and I'll read the
Stunning.
blurb, and if the blurb doesn't sell me, like I'll put it back. But okay, I have to hold it up again because that cover. So this
We
is
gotta give a shout out to your cover artist. Who did it? No
you
fucking
did.
way. You did that?
I did it.
Holy shit! That's
Holy
incredible.
shit.
They're so
So
beautiful.
I
And
have to
it's
give
so good.
props to the photographer Ingen Eckert. So I found him on Pixabay, and it was royalty free. You can use whatever
Yes.
base photos that I selected that I really felt resonated with the character of Penelope Kendall, the main
Yes.
character in the Dreamwalker series, like when I was scrolling through all of his stuff, and he's got beautiful artwork, like
Yeah.
landscapes and still lifes and really thought-provoking artsy things, and then portraits, like just stunning things, Ingen accurate if you are searching for some inspiration.
Taking some notes here. Yes.
Take notes. So I was scrolling through his work and I just saw this stunning model, beautiful model, and I felt like she reached through the screen and grabbed my soul, and I was like, that's her. That's Pin. That's who I see in my head. So
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
yeah, and then I did a lot of editing and working with Canva, because
Yeah.
as you might appreciate, being an indie author means we are working with indie author budgets.
Yes, we are.
Mhm.
So getting wise on how to use the resources that are available to you for free is a great starting point. Again, if you're taking
Word.
notes.
Yeah, yeah.
Word. No, I mean, this is okay. So I have to say, so this I picked up Unnatural, but it's
Yes.
only the first book in your Dreamwalker series, which consists of
Yes.
3 books.
Yes.
And then, like, a little novella,
So I have the
that's
companion novella,
Ghost.
which has had a
Yep.
Yes.
facelift since August, I think. This is a new cover since August
Wow,
Oh.
it's so
2020.
So did you
And then
redesign the cover?
I did. I did.
Oh, how come?
Yeah, I wanted it to be here. I have hold that thought.
Yeah, well, holding.
Doo-doo-doo. So the original cover of Ghost, the companion novella, was this one, which is not bad. I mean, I also liked it because it
Mhm.
had this kind of foggy
Yep.
feel to it.
Yep.
But I had polled different people about visual readability of it, and my husband conveniently is connected with a person who has some amount of visual impairedness. And her feedback on this cover was very helpful for me to redesign it as this cover,
Yeah.
to make it easier for those who have some amount of visual impairedness to actually be able to read well. So, yeah,
Wow.
Interesting. That
that
is
was a
that is
choice.
so helpful because I do realize that there is a lot goes into not just writing your book, but also then designing it, right, and editing it. And so
Mhm.
my first 3 books, I'm actually like, you know what? I think my font is too small for individuals who are, have
Yeah.
a visual impairment. I think I
It
need to
is
change that moving
impossible
forward.
to make something that's perfect for everyone, but I think
Absolutely.
when you can, then you should.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
I also think that as we continue down this path of authorship and
Yes.
creatives, you learn a lot. And so, we're not going to
Yes.
come out the gate being like perfect on all the things, but as you learn, you can kind of optimize and work that new knowledge into whatever projects you're working on. Because
Mhm.
there are many, many things. I'm actually doing a reread of my series now, and there are many things that I
Then you
see that I'm like,
change.
ooh, ooh, you know. Um,
Hmm.
but again, like no book, traditional published, indie published, small press published, it doesn't matter. No book is going to be absolutely perfect across all categories because it is
100%.
human art. And that's what
Mhm.
makes
Completely
it
agree.
so powerful and so impactful are those human elements. Now, does that mean that I'm still going to try to level up my typo hunting skill set? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But I'm saying it out loud as much as possible to myself as much as possible so that I don't sit there thinking like, "Oh my gosh, I can't finish any project because it's not perfect." And I'm, continuing to find a
Yeah.
typo here or like I should have put a comma there, all those little things. So again, if you're taking notes,
Yeah.
trust the process.
No, I completely agree with you. And I'm actually proud of you for rereading your series because I have yet to be able to do that because I just know, and your writing evolves and you as a person evolve
Yes.
too. So things that you
Yes.
Mhm.
enjoyed 3 years ago when you first started writing it, you might not enjoy now. And I'm afraid of going back to my first book and reading it and being like, oh my God, I put that out. What in the
People
world?
are reading that? Whoa.
I would wanna rewrite the whole thing probably,
Yeah.
especially
I
after
think
you've
you
received
would
feedback
want
feedback.
to, but I think that your readers love
Might
it the
not
way
want
it
to.
is. Obviously, you wouldn't have a
Maybe.
following. Same thing with you, Duval. You wouldn't have a following of people who want to read your stuff if you didn't put it out the way it was.
True.
Right.
You hit a chord with somebody. You
Right.
struck something within somebody, and I can say that I've read all three of your books, or two of your books because I still haven't read
Here's,
the
red
last
third.
one.
It needs to come
I'm
your way.
not emotionally ready to read your last one,
No,
okay?
it took you a year last time.
Thank you for saying that out loud. It is okay to not be emotionally ready for some trauma
Yeah.
bonding, but I am
Yes.
interested.
Yes. But you could see the development from your first to your second book,
Yeah.
like the writing and I'm not an author or a editor or anything. I'm just a reader. I just enjoy the
But
books,
you know what?
right?
That's what it's about, right? I mean, we're not writing for our editors. We are not writing
No.
for us. Well, we are. I think we start
Yeah,
out writing the book that we want to read, but ultimately we write it for the readers. So it's
right.
always nice to hear that.
I
And
think
so
there's
go ahead. Go
something
ahead.
that I feel kind of in the same channel that I feel very strongly about. I was kind of looking back, I'm a very reminiscing person. And so a few years ago, I was doing something in the kitchen and I was thinking back to like the history of books that I have read in the past because Goodreads had become a thing that I was now more aware of and leaving reviews on book platforms across the board. When you become an author, you realize how important that is. So when I shifted from being an avid reader into being an author and paying attention to those sorts of things, I was like, I should go back through my backlog and try to make sure that I'm putting in the kind of like pay my tab for these authors that have put together books that I really appreciated. And as I was going through my backlog and thinking about books that I read a lot that I was really connected to at that time, and sorry for anybody who's still in this boat, I remembered that I was obsessed with Twilight, and I am
Mm,
no longer
Correct.
obsessed with Twilight. And so I was like working through these thoughts and feelings, and we don't really need to get into like an analysis of why I was
Yes.
and why I'm not anymore or whatever. But the understanding that I came to for myself that I want to extend is that there are stories you encounter at specific times in your life that are valuable and relevant for that time in your life. And that's why it resonates so strongly with you.
Yes.
mhm.
And just because you've moved past that time in your life or you've grown past that time in your life and that story is no longer serving you, it's okay to set that story aside and not need to carry it with you anymore. But that doesn't
Mhm.
diminish the fact that it was useful at that time. And so I feel
Yeah.
100%.
similarly about the way that we write, when the
Yes.
very first draft of your very first book is not going to look like your 20th draft of your 57th book. It's
So
okay
true.
to have that growth because
So true.
it was what it would needed to be at that time. And so yeah, really trying to pull in grace for myself, and also make space for that growth to happen while still appreciating the roots of where you came from.
That is so
Totally.
beautifully said. I mean, so
Mhm.
beautifully said, right? Because
Thank
both for
you.
the reading aspect, when you read a book at a certain point in your life and it really resonates with you and it serves a purpose and it makes you, because it's about how it makes you feel, right? I was reading an article the other day about how why certain music when we hear a song and then suddenly we want to like listen to it on repeat on repeat on repeat on repeat on repeat, that suddenly and then suddenly we can't stand it anymore, that it is something while we were wanting to listen to it on repeat it was something our brains needed, and
Mhm.
then it served its purpose and we're moving on. And I think it's the same with books and movies and other stories and things, hobbies even, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that is
I think
so
that
beautifully.
if I can pull on the reins a little bit and segue, I feel like that's a beautiful segue into the type of writing that we both kind of reach into, even though our genres, the umbrellas of our genres are very different.
Yes.
My series that's out right now is a dystopian sci fantasy speculative fiction mashup.
So great. Yeah.
And I know that yours is more contemporary fiction, and there's romance in mine as well. And these romantic elements in our storytelling are critical to the plot and the character development of our characters. And
Yes.
one of the things that I think is so important about the relationships that we write, and I'm reaching here a little bit. So if I need a course correction or if I'm off my rocker for your end, please provide that.
I'll let you
Um,
know.
I think one of the things that's so important when we write into these spheres where our characters have been through trauma
Yes.
and the purpose of us, what are we writing for, is to walk our readers through this process of trauma healing,
Yes.
which is brutal and agonizing and beautiful and necessary. And when you have these relationships between these characters and they intersect in these traumatic situations, the story itself needs to keep going where they are healing through that process instead of getting stagnated on
Yes.
the trauma part of the trauma bonding.
Yes.
Yeah, I have opinions about characters and how they development and character development in general. And so when you're using um, these mechanics to express a story to connect with your readers, I really truly feel like the characters need to then also be able to fully heal, fully grow, fully transform through the storytelling,
Yes.
because that's the power of what we're writing.
Yes.
Anyway, let me get off my soapbox there.
No, I think that's exactly right, right? And that's why I think it's so important that you take your time moving your characters through that process. And a lot of these really deeply traumatic kind of books, and I know especially in the traditional sphere, right? They're very truncated because we have to fit our books within a certain number of words,
That's
and it does not allow for the full character arc, and it leaves me oftentimes scratching my head as to how supposedly this character ended
That
up
happened.
being as well as they did, after suffering through such trauma.
Right.
Oh,
Because
what
I
was
know
that book you were talking about? That
it's
was,
always the same for me. The
it
biggest
is.
example is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, that has to do with domestic violence, and in the end, this person is just, sitting in the hospital with her newborn daughter. I'm spoiling the book, sorry, guys.
It's okay. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers!
Yes, spoiler alert.
She's sitting in the hospital with her newborn baby in her arms, and next to her is her abusive husband who has hit her several times, and she's like, "I want a divorce." And he's like, "Oh, no, we can make this work." And she says, "If your daughter one day came to you and she said that her husband hurt her and hit her, what would you tell her?" And I'm like, "This is not realistic." It pissed me off. It was too
The easy
gratuitous.
button was used. And
Yes,
that's
the
not
easy
like,
button.
not talking shade, because lots of people love that story.
Yes,
And that's
Mhm.
absolutely.
it resonates with a lot of people.
Yes,
And that's great. And that's wonderful. And I'm really happy for that. It's got a really
yes,
successful box office. Good job,
yes,
everybody. Like, cool. But as far as the reality check of what that personality type who would cause that kind of harm consistently, pattern behavior,
yes.
that conversation would not be as
Yeah,
clean.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. I think that's what
And sometimes,
bothered
and if
me.
you know that, sometimes that can be really dissatisfying to
Yes,
see that as anyway.
yes. It was exactly
I
it. It
think
was a little too
yeah.
clean, and I like a messy.
Well,
Because life
you
is messy.
also yeah, because like, so you are very much like you a trauma romance writer, right? Like
Yes,
you love the in-depth, the trauma, the healing, all of that stuff. As maybe somebody who read the book, they just want a happy ending. A lot of people
sure.
just want a happy ending, right? They want it to end, everyone's hunky dory, it's not real anyways according to the reader, right? So, I could see both sides of it, but I'm
Yes,
a very much like, I need to know, like, in depth, which is why, like, I love indie books because you guys are given that freedom or you not given, you guys take that freedom to make your books as long as you fricking want and put in as much as information, as much detail and everything that you want in your books. Yeah, those are
They
chunky.
they're so
get
Those are
bigger.
gorgeous.
beautiful, though. They get as any good book should.
Yep.
Should get
Yep.
Yeah,
thicker.
they did. I know.
And it's not
Yeah.
just filler, like, it's so imperative for the stories, right? Like, there's some people who write big books to write big books. People who write sex scenes just to have sex in their books, and it's like, it doesn't fit here. Like, you are just really honestly trying to just fill pages, and I get it.
Again, if that's your jam,
Yeah,
sometimes brain
that's
candy, escapism, no shade, no
yeah.
shade, no shade.
No, no,
Totally.
no, no shade, no shade, but I can see, like, I don't know if you know this, but I only really started reading in 2024 when I was really heavily pregnant. I kind of read before, but it was, like, maybe a book a year. I was really pregnant and I was like, "Can't do anything else, I'm gonna pick up a book." And I had myself in this box that I only liked science fiction. I don't know why. My brain did it to
It
me.
was a
So I picked
craving.
up like
Pregnancy
yeah,
craving.
yeah, the pregnancy craving. I picked up a murder mystery like thriller book, and I read it, and I was like, wow. I really like that. I'm gonna try something else different. And it cascaded into me reading all these books that I'm reading now. Um, but like I've read so many different books from so many different authors, and I've been very privileged as like the bookstagrammer to receive books from so many different indie authors and read so many different people's stories. And just I love that in your guys's like there's definitely pros, there's definitely cons to traditional publishing. We've talked to quite a few people who are kind of on both sides of the spectrum, but I think that there's something so beautiful about not being restrained in writing your story and being able to write it the way that you want and not being like, well, you got to get rid of like 7 chapters because it's too big. It's like that is in there for a reason. I I wrote it. If it wasn't supposed to be there, it wouldn't be there.
Definitely, and it's exercise and discipline. I just finished writing a new manuscript, another book that I just want to see if I could get it picked up by a traditional. I just want to see because I feel like I would forever regret if I didn't at least try. But oh my God, staying within that 98,000 word count
Which is
was
bonkers to me. It's so short.
it's so short. And I'm like, how do I do the character arcs justice without it feeling rushed? Because it feels rushed. I'm still over 100,000 words. I'm hoping my editor's gonna work her magic, but I don't know. I find it tough, but also maybe that's just because my writing it needs to get better still, and I need to not be so wordy. How do you feel about that?
Think I think that words are powerful,
Yes.
and I think that with great power comes great responsibility. I think, like Tyler is saying, you can throw words around just for the sake of having words around.
Yes, absolutely.
I try to, when I am writing, make sure that all of the things that I'm putting into the story are weight bearing, meaning
Yes.
you can't knock that wall down or the whole house will fall, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
your pillars, I think they're called, right? Or whatever
Your pillars.
in books. Yeah,
oh,
I don't know.
probably,
Just ignore me.
probably you'll have to, as a word gremlin who lives under a mountain and kind of keeps to herself, I don't know what they say in the trade, but uh,
Ignore me, continue.
I try to keep all of what I'm writing very weight bearing and purposeful. And I think that um, for the character in my Dreamwalker series, for Penelope Kendall, her journey takes her through her healing process. The first book is the shortest one. It's closer to industry standard. I had originally queried with this book as well, just same as you did, just to see if
Just to see.
but I also put a time limit on it because I was like, I'm
Yes.
not gonna let somebody else
What was your
decide
time
for
limit?
me. I gave myself a year to see if I'd
Okay,
get
that's exactly what I'm feeling. I'm like,
yeah.
give it a year and see what happens.
Yeah. So I put out some queries and then right around the like half year mark, I was like, I'm
Mhm.
going to start pivoting because I know sometimes you have to wait 6 to 8 months anyway to hear back anything.
Mhm.
So I put out waves, like first tier waves, second tier waves, whatever, waves of queries. But then I started pivoting and looking into indie publishing just so that I could make my deadline that I had given
Yes.
myself to have a physical book in my hand by the end of that calendar year. Um, and it was very useful. So with Penelope Kendall's journey, the first book is not as, I'll say lyrical with the prose. It's not as, it's not as gripping or visceral. It doesn't grab you as much because, not quite a spoiler, in the beginning of her story, she's much more dissociated from herself and what she's
Mhm.
feeling. And so as her
Yes.
healing is progressing and she's processing all of this stuff, her word count that she needs to process all the things, it gets bigger because she is
Damn.
feeling and processing and,
A
really
whole
clued
lot.
in to what's going
And that's
on
life.
around her. And I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
honestly one of the things that makes my stories so gripping for the readers who have read it and that have given feedback. And to me, you know, have I gone viral? No. Will I go viral? Probably
Yet,
not. And that's
yet.
okay,
Yeah,
We're
because
manifesting.
the people that have found it, that have read it, that have really
Love it.
plugged in are the readers that it was meant for. And that's a really beautiful thing. And that's really exciting for me. So,
I agree. I actually like this whole metaphor of, as you're progressing through healing, you become more wordy. There's just a lot more because the trauma, for all intents and purposes, is usually a very short event, right?
the
Unless
event,
it's
yeah.
sort of like a lifelong thing. But even that you can put together.
right.
And the
It's
healing
microscopic
usually
compared to the broad
microscopic.
scope
Yes,
of.
exactly. Compared to the healing aspect, which often takes a whole life.
Your whole life.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think that, the healing should be thicker
Yeah.
and chunkier
Yeah.
and longer.
And I
Yeah.
think of it as like it's almost like it's a deepening spiral. So like you're learning to look at this trauma from all these different angles, and you're pulling in your healing and your resources from all these separate areas in life. And that makes the life that you're living, uh, speaking as the character, but also speaking as ourselves. That's what makes it so much richer, is when you really like get through the storm and you get through the trauma and you plug into the beauty that's on the other side of it. And that just makes it that much more powerful.
Mhm.
I get very wordy.
Totally agree.
I love it.
I
I love
I
it.
wanna know.
You've been
Oh, go ahead, Ty.
Okay, go ahead.
You go.
No, I was just gonna compliment because, like, the way that she's explaining things is so what is in my head, but I don't have the words for it.
Yeah.
Like, just the way that she's explaining,
A
like,
word nerd.
everything. Where she's a word nerd,
Yeah, I
man.
love
She's
it.
like she's
It's beautiful.
just I feel like our audience really is going to be like, "Holy shit, that's exactly what what I'm, like, thinking, but I just don't have the words to say it out loud."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I'm just sitting here just
Thank
like,
you.
enamored. So, go
Yeah.
ahead,
Thank you.
JB.
Well, I wanna know, okay, so is the Dreamwalker series your first book series? Did you write before? How did Penelope come to you? Like, I wanna
Yeah.
know your
Does
origin
she talk
story.
to you in your brain? Because JV has, like, characters in her
Uh,
brain.
I
of course she
love this.
does.
I love sharing my origin story. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Yes.
asking.
I
So,
want to know.
like most word nerds, I have loved books and reading for a very long time in my life. And actually, the first ever draft of Penelope's story I wrote when I was 16.
Nice. That
Whoa.
resonates.
And that story was nowhere near what it is right now. It was probably closer to ghost size. I
Mhm.
typed that sucker on Word.
Yeah, Word 98 to
Word,
direct
yeah,
sheet.
exactly.
Yeah.
And,
Commodore 64.
yeah, yeah. It was, a dream that I had had, and I could feel how important it was. I could feel how it resonated with me. But I didn't have the life experience or the education at that point in my life to really do the story justice.
Yeah.
And so
Probably
I was
without
frustrated with
realizing.
it. It wasn't
Yeah.
right, rah.
Yeah.
And so I kind of shelved it and left it on my computer, and tinkered at it every now and then when I was in college. In college, I got my real job degree. I have a Bachelor of Science in kinesiology, concentrating in
Oh,
exercise science and
cool.
leadership. So I'm a clinical
Nice.
exercise physiologist in my real life.
Okay.
But my minor is in writing and rhetoric. And so knowing how to communicate, and how to articulate what I'm trying to communicate is really important. And so I think that intersection of like human experience and human body expert with articulation and communication expertise has really helped, create the robustness of the stories that I write. So, in any case, I was, playing around with this draft that I had started as a 16-year-old that was still sitting in, the ancient dusty Word document on my ancient dusty laptop. And God bless my roommate. While I was out of town, she wanted to play a computer game, and the computer game that she bootlegged, crashed my computer. along with everything that was on my computer.
Oh,
Just a moment of
no.
silence, a moment of
I know,
silence.
RIP first draft of the Dreamwalker series.
However, and I mean like data shrapnel. Like I took it to places to be like, "Can you save it?" And they were like, "No,
Oh,
that's a paperweight." Like it was dead.
Yeah.
But it was honestly one of those experiences that was the absolute best thing that could have happened because at that point, the original draft was gone. I couldn't look at it again. I couldn't pull from it again. I couldn't try to mold it into something that it was not capable of with the parameters that it had. And then fast forward years, and I'm married and a small business owner, and I've got 2 kids, and they're both young kids, and I am the food truck for the kids, so I cannot leave the premises of my house very easily. But I still wanted to kind of get away and take off the mom hat and the business owner hat and become something different. And so what I would do is go down into the basement and I started writing again because
Yeah.
Penelope Kendall kept whispering in my ear. And so I said, "Okay, Pen, we'll try it again." And what came out was so much more defined um, than I ever could have imagined that it was, back when I first tried. Um, yeah, and so that whole process is what got me here.
I love
That's
that. That's such a
crazy.
good story. I always getting people's origin stories is one of my favorite parts of this podcast because everybody their stories are all different, but I think the nucleus is always the same. It is all about transformation. A lot of us have experienced like something sad or traumatic, or we're going through grief or a transformation of motherhood, right? Parenthood is a
Mhm.
hugely life changing. And then to find yourself in this creative outlet and endeavor to really regain a part of yourself is a constant undercurrent in the stories that we hear from people, don't you think, Ty?
Yeah,
And I
I think that
love those stories.
yeah, I think it's normally it's something where they've lost something, albeit their first draft, or it was COVID, or they lost their freedom, or, whatever. Always something of a negative that turns into a beautiful positive.
I
Yeah.
think that's
I
something in
think
human nature that resonates so strongly with all of us is that we all have this common thread of we all have our baggage, our traumas, our negatives, our lows, whatever you want to think of them as. We all have
Mhm.
experienced them. We've had to go through them. But there's something really uniquely powerful and beautiful about the human experience when you can take that and kind of like alchemy, you're going to transmute it into
Yes.
something different. How can I take this and use it and make it purposeful and turn it into something that
Create. Yeah.
gives me wings instead of
Yes.
holds me back? Yeah.
Yes, and it's always most of the time what I find when people, at a crossroads like that, it is art. In one way or another, it's creating that helps them through whatever they're going through. It's
Which is
always about
exactly why
creating.
AI is not art.
AI is not
No.
art. It is not art.
Right.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Completely agree.
Right.
I,
It was
I, so
Totally.
Yeah,
Tyler, I think is a
just had to
good
stick that in there. It's not art, it's bad for the environment, it's bad for
Yeah.
business, it's bad for all the things, support
it's
real
bad for all the
humans
people.
and
We keep
yeah.
joking. One of the constant refrains that we have on our podcast is that I want AI to do my laundry and load my dishwasher so I can focus on art. I don't want AI to do my art so I can focus on loading my dishwasher. Yeah,
I think there's also
that's
like you miss out if you are, and I know I've been saying no judgment, but I'm a totally judge here. Like if you are a person who calls themselves a creative, but you're using AI to do your writing for you, you're like missing out on the entire purpose and the process of the
The
writing and how
process.
that's
Yeah.
supposed to transform you as a human. So if you're not doing that thing, cut it out.
Totally. I think that people I work in a technological aspect of my, like, real life. I work in IT. So, seeing the integration and even, like, I'm pushing back on a lot of AI stuff in my own realm because there's people who are like for instance, this is totally off topic, but people who want to like our boss wants to start figuring out better ways to give accolades to our employees. Making sure we're having those instead of just being like, "Hey, I need to talk to you because you messed up on this ticket." It's, "Hey, I want to talk to you because I think you're doing a great job."
That's nice.
Right? And
Positive
I
reinforcement.
always yeah, positive reinforcement. We can't offer money or gift cards or any of that stuff. We're very limited with like our job. We can't offer time off, stuff like that. Our union is very strict. So we need to do what we can as humans to have those human interactions. And I'm very pro to say, I'm going to send you a little message just randomly just to say, hey, you know what? I think you're doing a great job. I've listened to this call. I think it was awesome. I love what you did here because I don't want my only connection with that person to be, well, you need to fix this. You've
Yes.
done something wrong. Now, there's people in my job, and I'm not going to name names, who really want to integrate AI into everything. Have AI write the emails, all of our conversations we're going to be having with positive accolades to our agents. I was like, wait till the day when somebody takes that email, runs it through an AI generator, and realizes that we as humans are not even trying to put in an empathetic foot forward and, like, having those human to human interactions. So I'm really, like, trying to push back on it. Like,
Good.
AI
Good on you.
in IT has its place. We can automate stuff. Great, that's
Right.
fine. But if I'm gonna
Meeting
have a conversation with a
reminders.
human exactly. There's you know, there's been not artificial intelligence, and I hate the term AI because AI is artificial intelligence that has its own conscious, that does its own thing. AI is not artificial intelligence. It's run by a computer that a human created
Yeah, I mean,
to
it's
make the
taught
AI run.
through
Yeah,
real
it's taught through
human
human,
words and
which yeah,
images and
It's just
work.
copying.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
just copying.
It's just copying,
Poorly
exactly.
copying,
And
poorly regurgitating. Yeah.
yes, yeah. But I totally agree. And we have this conversation with a lot of people that AI has no place in art. Be it in designing or drawing or
Right.
writing or
Right.
music or I mean, some of the AI music I hear is insane. Like, if that person existed in this day and age writing that music, they would be the most famous artist in the entire world. Like, it's just that doesn't exist.
Right.
Every person has a place, and that's where they're supposed to be doing what they love to do,
Hmm.
and AI has no place
In the
in the
creative
art
sphere.
world.
No,
Yeah.
I
I'm gonna get off my soapbox now.
I like your soapbox. I like it. I like
yeah,
it.
I think we've all I think generally in this space, we've all agreed on no
At
AI.
least we should. I know
Yeah.
there was an indie that I met that we were kind of chatting, and then I saw or I realized, not saying names, but I saw and
Mhm,
realized that this person had used AI to make character art. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, and I didn't call him out publicly because I'm not like trying to make drama anywhere, but I was like, "Hey, did you hire somebody to make this art because it's amazing?" And they were like, "Oh no, I
mhm.
used an AI generator." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, why would you do that?" And they were they were like,
I think
"Oh, it was so hard. I had to put the prompts in correctly or whatever, and I just don't have a budget for." And that's the thing. Like, I don't have a budget to
Mhm.
hire a human to do it, so I'm going to rip off humans and get this like AI
for free.
regurgitated slop instead. And in my mind, and this is another big one that I've been trying to be vocal about for other new authors that I meet and cross paths with, you don't have to come out the gate with the best book that's ever written, the best cover that's ever been made, the best character art ever. You don't even have to come out the gate with character art or, snappy
Yeah,
hook lines or whatever. Like, just start with the story and you can grow from there. And if
Yeah.
I'm just like, how about write a story that inspires an artist to draw your characters?
Yeah.
How about poll your community
I
and
love
see
that.
if there's an artist that would like to do a collab with you on something, like,
I
Yeah,
remember I
use
did
your
that.
resources.
I posted something, I think it was Threads or something right after I had my first book out, and I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for an illustrator." Oh my gosh, inundated with DMs, and I've
Yep.
definitely been burned. I think there
Yeah.
were 2 or 3 illustrators
Yeah,
who just took
you
my
have.
money and either gave me the crappiest work or didn't give me any work at all. But I get it. I think I appreciate your approach to, just reaching out to this person, being like, hey, I think this maybe, because honestly, it is such a learning curve as a brand new baby author. You don't know. And even
There's
you might
so
have
much
even,
pressure to
there
like
is
perform
pressure.
and to show up and have the things. Where's my swag? Like
That,
what are
yes.
the extras that I'm getting? And I'm like, I have books with stories that will reach into your
Yeah.
soul and give you a scramble. That's what I
Well, it's
have.
that. And, but
Someday I'll
Good.
have more things.
I also don't know that everybody is as it recognizes it as easily. Like when something is AI, when it isn't. Because there are witch hunts out there.
I was just going to say, this is not permission to go on a witch hunt.
Yes, because there are people
Mhm.
who think they know and they will just burn somebody, and the person's like, literally
Right.
no AI. But how do
Right.
I prove? You can't prove a
Right.
negative. You cannot. But
Right.
then, I mean, you potentially are burning down somebody's reputation, someone's livelihood.
Do your homework.
So,
If
yes,
you
do
don't know,
your
do your
homework.
homework. Like,
And
Message them privately. You do not need I don't understand this blast culture. Like threads, I really try and stay away from it because I just see so much people who think that they are entitled to drag an author for one reason or another publicly.
and I also just think that it's fallible. It is absolutely 100% fallible, and I know this from personal experience, not me. My husband, he is back in school. He was taking a couple classes. He wrote a paper. He wrote a freaking paper. Okay. The poor man wrote the paper. He like 43-year-old man, 3 kids at home, working full time. He's like, I'm writing my freaking paper. And as professors do now, they run that stuff through an AI detector. And the teacher gave him like 5 points on his paper saying, oh, this was likely written with AI. And my husband is like, I don't even know how to
How do you
use
prove?
AI.
the
And
AI is
Yeah.
probably trained on
on
writing.
real people's writing. That's
Right.
what I told him. And I was like, that's the problem, right? Because first of all, you're running someone's stuff through an AI detector. You're using AI to determine whether somebody used AI, which in and of itself is bullshit. But then also, yes, you are essentially disciplining people for good writing. You are
Yeah.
making it so that people are forced to make their stuff sound like crap because they're afraid you're gonna think that they wrote it with AI when maybe they just put a ton of time in it. I felt so bad for him. He talked to his professor and she's like, oh yeah, no, like 90% of the students in class, the AI detector thought. And I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing this
Maybe.
shit. It's
Maybe
not
that's a clue.
okay. So
Jeez, I would have
it's like,
raged.
yes. So it's like this weird fine line. And again, I just don't know that a lot of people necessarily know. They hire an illustrator, you give them your money, you think they're doing it correctly, and then what you get back might be AI generated, and the author might not even know it.
Do your homework. Do
Yeah,
your homework.
yeah.
Totally.
So
Before we
Anyway,
wrap this up, because I feel like we have not asked you like one
no,
single fucking question. We've
not a
just
real
been on
one.
like
just chatting.
not a real one. We're just chatting, which is what I love because the point of our podcast is to get to know the person.
Yes,
We know you write books. We know you write incredible books. We know you're an author. We want to know who you are. What's your story? Tell us all the things, your point of views, all that stuff. So that's why we love doing this because that's why we were going to sit down and do like interview back and forth questions. We're like lame. So lame. I don't want to
Everybody
do
does
that. But
that.
I
Who
just want to have a
cares?
conversation. Exactly. But I do have a question because I think it's important with especially now knowing your educational background.
mm-hmm.
Are you a pantser or a plotter when
To
it
ask that
comes to your
question.
books?
Okay, I love this
I read your
question.
mind.
I love this
Hold on, can
question.
I guess?
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess you're a plotter.
Pantser.
Cancer.
You're a
Woo!
panther.
She's so put together,
So
but
put
her
together.
like well, even articulating, just the way that she talks,
Yeah.
I feel like that resonates and that completely
You
translates on
seem like
paper.
you would have all your ducks in a row immediately as you start writing your book.
I feel like that's a dangerous impression to give, but I do try. I do really try. I think, well, I guess a more accurate description, I'm a plantser.
Huh?
A plantser,
Love it.
right?
A hybrid.
So I'll
Hybrid.
have my main plot points and the checkpoints that like I need to get to, and then how my characters get from point A to point B happens more organically, where by the time I'm sitting down and actually writing consecutive scenes. And that's the other thing that I do. I write consecutively. I don't do this whole, oh, I have this
You
idea for
do?
this. Yes, I have to write consecutively because a lot of times through the writing, I'm going to sound cheesy and that's totally fine and very normal. I
We
get
like
to
Be
cheese.
your
know my
authentic self.
characters more in depth in the same way that like when you talk to a person, you get to know them more, right? So when I'm actually putting
Yes.
my characters on a paper, sometimes I think I know something about them, but then they'll surprise me and something else will come out of how their various pieces fit together. And so if I've changed something in one scene where like this scene over here in the beginning, it surprised me. If I've already got a scene over here that I've finished, it doesn't include this new variable that I've
Yes.
realized because I was writing consecutively. So I always write consecutively. And that just helps my personal brain. Everybody has a path and a purpose, and that's how my brain likes to work. So I've
Totally,
got my
yeah.
checkpoints. By the time I'm actually writing, I have tried to develop such three-dimensional characters, characters with such depth where I know their history, I know their triggers, I know their traumas, I know their yearnings, what they want, their happily ever after, what does that look like for them? I know all that stuff. So when I'm writing, it's kind of like I stick them into a room like I'm playing Barbie dolls and I'm like, okay, now go. And then
Yeah.
I'm just kind of writing what they're doing with each other.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way most of the time. I don't the one thing that I don't do is write consecutively unless I
Mhm.
already have a draft and then
Sure.
I go through it consecutively because
Right,
suddenly I'm like, "Oh, well, that was not consistent." But
right.
I'm very much like for me it is almost an obsessive I don't know if obsessive compulsive is the right word because I don't want to downplay anybody who has actual obsessive compulsive disorder. But is if I have an idea, if I have a thought in my head or a scene that just keeps replaying in my mind, I need to get it out of my system, which most of the time is not consecutive. But I wish I could write consecutively.
I think so similarly, if you've got a
Yeah.
scene and it's good and it's juicy and whatever, I have a notebook or I'll pull up
Yeah.
my note app on my phone and I'll kind of bullet point it out or kind of jot it down or be like, oh, that dialogue exchange was really snappy. And
Yeah.
so I'll write it down, but it
Yeah.
doesn't go into my document until there's a
Yes.
spot for it,
Oh, okay. Okay.
if that
Yes,
makes
that
sense.
makes sense.
I
Are
did
you
try to do more plotting for my third book because I had so many by the time this one came around, there were so many threads that I needed to make sure landed well, and I was like, "I'm
Yeah.
totally
Mhm.
gonna plot this one." And I really feel like it made it harder for me
Yes.
personally because I tried so hard to stick to my outline and do my plotting, but halfway through the book, I was like, actually, no.
Yeah.
Actually, no, we're going to burn the rest of that down and we're going to start with, like this other thing. And once I gave myself
Mhm.
permission to just throw the plot out the
Just
window,
be.
not the
Yeah.
entire plot, I swear, there's a plot. It's a good one. But the original outline, once I let myself throw those bullet points out the window and say, you know what, here's my characters are whispering to me, here's the better path that they are taking me on. I just need to go with it. Then
Yeah.
it got easier.
Are you currently working on a new book? What are you up to now? Oh,
You
I
know what?
like
This
it.
would be a really great outro.
Oh,
Just because we need to get
we
the
do need
outro
an
in,
outro.
because we do I don't know if you've ever watched Hot Ones, you and your husband have ever watched Hot Ones on YouTube. They kind of throw the mic or the cameras to the guests so that they can kinda do, like, "Where can you find us? What we have coming up?" Stuff
What are
like
you
that.
working on?
So I'm gonna throw it. Yeah, "What are you working on?" So I'm gonna I haven't done my outro in 2 months. What is our outro? Um, okay, I got
Okay.
it.
I'm
Okay.
like,
We're going to do a quick outro before we get into that question because I think that it's going to tie in really well for this episode. So, HM Duval, thank you
thank you.
so much for being
This
here
was
today
so
and
fun.
just enlightening us with just everything about you is just you're like this like ray of sunshine. Like
Yes,
you're just exude positive and I've had such a great time chatting with
me
you.
too.
And even though we didn't ask you like,
Real
any good
questions?
intention, I think it was a really great,
This has been a lot of fun.
experience overall. Yeah, it's been a really great experience overall. So, before we let you go, the mic is yours. Let the people know what you've got going on in your
Yes,
life.
and where we can find you.
Okay.
Yes.
So my completed Dreamwalker series is available everywhere books are sold. You can go to your favorite brick and mortar indie bookstore, please, and order through them. They can get it from the Ingram Spark catalog. If you are a Zahn reader, you can order it from the Zahn. The three main trilogy Books are enrolled in Kindle Unlimited, which
Nice.
was a promise that I made as a new mom with one hand and lots of late nights by myself. KU saved my sanity. So I have been enrolled in that ever since I started publishing. So anywhere books are sold, that's where you can find my books. Um, this one, the companion novella from Abel's perspective that follows select scenes from book one, but from his point of view, is only available in print from me. So you have to
At
get
the
in touch with
signings.
me if you want a copy of this one. It'll be at signing events, and you can also order it just directly from me. My
Nice.
link tree
What is your
is
website?
really easy to remember. It's the Linktree start, Linktree, and then the slash and HM Duval. And that will take you to all the things that you can possibly connect with me on, which is really, really super convenient. And you want to be connected with me because I am going to need more ARC readers. I am going to need more street team. I have a new project that I'm absolutely pumped about.
I
One
want to
of the
hear.
things I've always tried to do with my books is to subvert expectations and give voices to topics that aren't always necessarily spoken about, or to give you a refreshing take on some traditional storylines. So, what I am working on right now is a paranormal romance, but wait,
Ooh.
it's a rural paranormal romance
Oh,
set in Appalachia, incorporating traditional Appalachian um, witchcraft and
very
root
cool.
work and the Native American influences that are looped in there as well. So we are thinking warring witches, unbreakable curses, and the kind of love that's powerful enough to overcome it all. And I am hoping to
I
release
love
that
it.
around Halloween this year if I can
Oh,
manage to
no
keep my ducks in a
pressure.
row. So
Is
you
that a
definitely want to jump
series?
into all of the things to stay connected with me so that I can share this really exciting story with you.
That sounds really great. Is that going to be a series or is it a standalone?
So gosh, I keep starting these ideas. But when I first, when I first started Unnatural the second time, I was like, I will just write a fluffy romance between two people who were hurting and they found their way to love. And then something happened, and I wound up with this trilogy, this saga that incorporates, found family and reclaiming the sacred self and healing from trauma and resisting a fascist regime. Like, it is a story you sink your teeth into and chew. And so I tried to similarly, I was like, okay, this time I got it. This time I'm going to write a cozy little story and there's going to be witches involved and it's going to be good. And then it
You're a
just keeps,
pantser.
but I'm a pantser. And so things keep evolving. I can definitely see where this story could branch into its own serial world.
How fun.
So at the moment, definitely one, but there's a chance that my characters might need to travel and do
2
some
or
more
3 or
books.
4 or 5. I
Who knows?
Yeah.
love that. That sounds amazing. I can't wait, and I would love to arc read for
I
you.
literally, as you were describing it, this is why I love you. You articulate so fucking well. And I know that
So
that's such a
fucking
weird thing to
well.
say, but you're yeah, I don't articulate so fucking well.
Love
Um,
it.
you're describing it, goosebumps all over my body. Just
Oh, and
like I
Appalachia.
felt
So
everything.
it's such a
Yeah.
special area, of the US with
Yes.
its own, like, folklore, and I
There's
imagine a
not a
lot of
lot of
research.
highlight on that, so I'm
Yeah.
doing so much research right now. I'm
Yes.
really loving the research that I'm doing. I
Love
have
that.
some interviews lined up with traditional root workers,
Nice.
people that have been practicing, like, generationally, going back hundreds of years, following the same tradition. So
Very
I'm
cool.
so excited
I'm
because I believe
excited.
if you're gonna do something, you should do it right, and you should do it well, and that is what I am doing with this story.
How cool. Well, we are going to have you back on once that's, like, ready
Yes.
to release, if you would be down to sit with us again.
Would love to sit with you guys again. This has
Awesome.
been so much fun.
Great.
That's so great to hear. I am like we're really bad interviewers.
We were really terrible. But this was so great as, like, our first
Yes.
episode back after the
Back
break.
for
Yes.
2026. Here we go.
Here
We
we
can't wait.
Fans
go.
and
We'll
word nerds.
definitely,
Word
word
nerds.
nerds. I'm definitely signing up for your newsletter because I wanna know all about the things and arcs and all of that stuff, so I'm
Yes. And
excited.
I should say, I'm really bad at newsletters because
So am I.
I believe in I will tell you something if there's something for you to know about. I'm not gonna blow up your inbox. That's not gonna happen. I'm talking
Yeah.
like maybe
We love
2 to
that.
4 emails per year, and they will be
Good.
juicy
Robust.
and full
Substantial.
of things to
Everyone
know.
needs to adapt that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I'm on a lot of newsletters where I'm like, "I haven't read any of you," and there's, like, 50 new ones in my no, I don't do that. I don't got time
Yeah,
for that. I'm
it's
writing you books, not
more
newsletters.
of the indie pressures, right? Because they tell you you have to stay relevant and send 2 emails a month so
Yeah,
people
no.
don't forget, and it's
Do
like,
what works for you,
what
my
else?"
boo. Do what works for you in 2026. Get rid of that
Yes,
dead weight.
love that.
And that is how we end this
Do what
episode.
works for you. Love it.
Yes. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
HM.
Thank you for
It
having
was
me.
incredible. Yeah, no
We'll have
worries.
you back. All you'll need to
Yes.
do is hit the leave button, and
Get out.
Yeah, don't stop the whole thing.
don't
Yeah.
stop the whole thing, just a little leave button.
Bye,
And we
babes.
can't wait to have you back. Bye.
Bye.